Once upon a time, in a little village in China, there was an old lady called Mrs. Zhao. She was a kind woman, and although poor, never grumbled about the life she led.
It's really warm today, and the fruits look like they should be ripe by the time my husband comes home.
Mr. Zhao worked in town far away and couldn't come home to visit his wife so easily. He worked hard to earn for the both of them. One day, a messenger came and brought Mrs. Zhao a letter from her husband. Hello, Mrs. Zhao. Hope you're doing good. Here's a letter from Mr. Zhao.
Oh, thank you.
She went inside and opened up the letter.
Oh, he'll be coming home soon, and he'll be getting double the pay for working so hard. Such good news, especially since the rations in the house are getting over.
Mrs. Zhao awaited his arrival with much excitement. One day she went out to pick the fruits and get them ready for him. But she stopped short when she saw they were spoiled.
Oh no! How did this happen? Now I don't have much to eat in the house.
Mrs. Zhao lived on the fruits she had picked and the few which hadn't got spoiled. But they were soon over.
Just a few more days and he'll be here. Oh, I'm so hungry.
Mr. Zhao had already reached the village and was walking home happily, thinking about his lovely wife.
My dear wife will be so happy to see me. And then I'll show her the silver yunpo that I've got.
As he walked by, he saw a woman sitting sadly by the road, whom he seemed to recognize.
Oh, it's Mrs. Li. I wonder why she's sitting there.
He went up to Mrs. Li and was startled to see her crying.
Mrs. Li, why are you here? And why are you crying so bitterly?
Mr. Zhao, I was just... I'm crying because I don't have any money. We've had no food for days and I can't pay my rent. The landlord is threatening to throw me and my daughter out.
Mrs. Li's husband worked in the same town as Mr. Zhao, but he hadn't any news of the man.
Well, you know your husband works with me, right?
Huh? Did he send any letter through you, telling me when he'll come?
No, but he did send me his salary to give to you. Here you go.
Mrs. Li looked up eagerly. It was as if a miracle had happened.
Did he really? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Her eyes now sparkled, and Mr. Zhao felt a warm glow within himself. He smiled as he watched her run off.
Now, how do I explain this to my love?
He continued on home and soon reached there. As he went in, his wife screamed in surprise and ran to hug him.
Oh, you're home! Oh, darling.
Mr. Zhao looked at his wife and realized she looked a bit pale. He asked her what had happened, to which she explained the whole situation at home.
There's nothing left except for a small handful of rice. Didn't you get a good salary this time?
I did, but I gave it away.
What? To whom?
Mr. Zhao told her everything that he had done on the way back.
I'm sorry, my love, but I couldn't just leave her in tears.
It's all right, dear. I know you meant well. I'll make us some rice porridge tonight. We'll think about everything tomorrow.
Mr. Zhao watched his wife slowly and quietly eat her porridge. She smiled as she spoke to him, but he knew she was sad. That evening, as they slept, he wondered what he could do. He suddenly remembered the sweet potatoes that he had been growing in Mrs. Yang's field.
But that would be stealing. I can't do that.
But as he looked at his wife, he made up his mind to take a few sweet potatoes. He would definitely pay them back later. So he got up and went to the field. That night, Mrs. Yang had told her son Tao to guard the field.
It's so cold and boring here. It's warm in the little shade. I'll go there.
And so he walked to the shade and cuddled up near the flames. But a little while later, he heard a slight shuffling sound.
Huh? It's my teacher, Mr. Zhao. Why is he here?
Mr. Zhao sat with his eyes closed. He was very stressed.
Is it fine if I take a few of Mrs. Yang's sweet potatoes? It's only to feed us for a little while, until I can pay them back.
Tao watched surprised and listened to his old teacher, who spoke so sadly. He decided to help the poor man.
Mr. Zhao!
Huh? Great Spirit!
You are a kind man, and I think, well, it's fine if you take a few potatoes from the field.
Oh, but is it not stealing?
Of course not. If you're going to pay him back, then it's fine.
Oh, thank you, Great Spirit.
Really?
Tao watched him leave and decided to follow and help Mr. Zhao. Mr. Zhao was not at all knowledgeable about digging up sweet potatoes and was having a hard time finding good ones.
Go to the eastern end of the field. There you will find good potatoes.
And so, greatly astonished at his good luck, went over and dug up a whole load of nice big sweet potatoes. He thanked the spirit greatly and went home.
That was fun. I'd better go home now.
The next morning, Tao told his mother everything, who was most surprised at this sudden news.
Poor Mr. Zhao. He must have had a tough time. Let's go over to his place today, okay?
Mr. Yang really liked the good Mr. Zhao, and so decided to take him more sweet potatoes along with some good warm food. When they reached there, they heard Mr. Zhao talking.
This stew is delicious, isn't it, honey?
Extremely, my dear. Here, have some more.
Mother, they had good food all along. Why did they have to steal from the field then?
Shh, Tao, come here.
Tao looked through the window and saw that there was no stew at all on the table. The old couple were pretending that the simple sweet potatoes were grand food.
Oh, the things one must do to feel happy. Come, Tao. Mr. Zhao, Mrs. Zhao.
Hearing their voices, guilt flowed through the couple.
No, let's just be honest. We can tell them we will pay them back, my dear.
And so they nervously opened the door.
Good morning. Tao and I came to...
But she hardly got through her sentence when Mr. Zhao confessed everything he had done the night before.
I promise I'll pay you for whatever I've taken.
Mr. Zhao, I already know what you did.
She explained the whole incident as Tao tried hard not to giggle at Mr. Zhao's shocked face.
You don't have to worry about paying me back. Here, take these baskets of food for you. Think of it as just kindness.
I don't know how to thank you.
Just then, Mrs. Li walked in with her daughter. She came up to thank Mr. Zhao for what he had done.
We are safe and have a home because of you. Thank you for passing on my husband's salary to us.
My salary?
They all turned to see Mr. Li standing there at the door. He had seen his wife enter the house from afar and had now heard them talk.
What are you talking about my salary for? I have it right here with me.
At this, his wife gaped. She was now as baffled as her husband. Mr. Zhao smiled and explained what he had done to the Li family. Now it was Mr. Li's turn to gape. He thanked Mr. Zhao profusely.
It's all right. I was happy to help.
Mr. Zhao smiled happily at everything that had happened over the last few days. Because he had been generous and kind, it had only come back to save him. So always remember to be kind, no matter what. As they say, what goes around always comes around.